I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to call the meeting to order with roll call. Jason Little. Here. Patricia Ball, absent. Kevin Burke.
Here.
Mike Johannes.
Here.
Brian Moore.
Here. Okay.
Kevin.
First thing we have on the agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes from May 13th. Entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from the May 13th meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a first and second from Mike and Brian on the approval of the minutes as written. There's no other comments or discussion. Could we call for a vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Let it be known it passes. Comments from the floor tonight. We have anybody like to discuss anything? Or? Okay. If not, we're going to move on to comments from me. Couple things. Just want to congratulate the new officers and the Christmas Lake Village Association, and hopefully we can continue to work with them since they're under a new president, vice president, and treasurer's Mark again, and a new secretary. So they had their annual election yesterday. The other thing is we did send a letter out last month concerning our street lights that are unlit to Synergy, and I don't know if we heard anything back yet or not. So
They did receive it, I think, on May 31st.
okay.
I thought
What?
we had a response last week. I thought we had a response last Tuesday. The power went out.
That probably was.
Kevin, you turn your mic on.
You said the 31st of May is when they received it
I
and signed
believe
for it.
that's what postal tracking set up.
Okay. I just want to remind our community that we're in our busy time of year with the holiday world and Lincoln State Park down there. So we want to entertain to, if anybody has any questions about anything, hopefully our public will address them to the right area where they need to go, and hopefully they come back to the area.
Not yours, not theirs.
When was it on?
They weren't done with those, they don't have theirs on, so.
Okay. So we can just keep that in mind, and appreciate the service of our police officers and any utilities or anything like that with the summer months and the activity that's going on. It's not fun. So that's all I have. One other thing is I did send an email to our council member on stray cats and that. I don't know if James forwarded it on to you guys or not.
I didn't say anything.
Okay. You can have this if you want it. So basically that's what the town of city of Evansville has done. And I picked that up off of a website. So it's kind of interesting. So what they consider strays. If not, let's move on with the fire department tonight. Okay.
Max is in here. He's
Okay.
not gonna make it.
Okay. So we're going to move on to Park and Rec.
I believe you all have my report. I apologize, it's been a little bit late, it's been crazy. I was not able to get membership information as part of that power surge the other night. One of our routers got fried, so our Wi-Fi was down. I'll head back up and running. Did hear back from Ready 2.0 for our region. We are still being considered for that mountain bike project, for some funding. They're providing some additional documentation. I think they're supposed to meet, I think it's this Friday, to discuss further, so I'll keep you updated there. I haven't heard anything new on the sports complex discussion. I believe the consulting firm is in the process of going to the feasibility study, so I'll let you know more when I find out. I've got somebody come to replace the pump. We've done everything that we can, and the pump's fried. If we broke a little further today. Something that, you know, long-term, if we're going to continue doing these tournaments, we really need to entertain putting in a larger basin with backup pumps and alarms. Not something we need to discuss tonight, but it's something that we definitely need to talk about, moving forward. Especially considering the fact that I'm short-staffed, it doesn't help when I have to spend the day doing things to remedy the issue, so. That's pretty much all I've got.
Something gets stuck in that pump or something?
Multiple somethings, yes.
Wipes?
No. Feminine products, underwear, you name it, yeah. So, it just makes it very difficult because our basins are so small, and we only have one pump in each one of them, and two of them are linked together. So if the main one goes down, all the water that's in the other basin keeps us from having to, or keeps us from being able to pump. We have to pump all the basins out to be able to work on the main pump. So it's been an ongoing issue. It seems like every year we have one of these go out, and you know, you're talking a couple $1,000s every time. And that's not to say that you won't still have some issues, but if, at least for the tournament's sake, you can buy time if you have a backup pump and you have an alarm, so you can get ahead of the problem before you know that water's coming up out of your basin. So I'll leave it at that. I don't know if you all have any questions for me here.
How many more tournaments we have this year?
Was it John, 2? Okay. 2, yeah, and we're discussing options. Porta potties are definitely going to be used in some form or fashion. We don't know yet if we're going to completely lock the bathrooms down during those and have only porta potties. We'll try to do a little bit of both. It's one of those things where really it's not a question of if, it's a question of when and how severe it could be. It could be simple as a breaker tripping, a check valve being plugged up, or it could be that the pump is fried. Which, when you're in the middle of a 2-day event, it's got 600 people in it, or 600 people there at any given time, it makes it very difficult to remedy it, especially when, you know, you're probably, if you want a complete replacement of the pump, you're probably calling somebody and you're talking a couple $1,000s, plus weekend, you know, fees and things. And even yesterday it was difficult just because I had other things that I needed to, you know, personal obligations that I needed to be a part of. And then with the hardware store closing it for, it just makes it very difficult to get anything done, so. But yeah, like I said, we don't have to go any further into that, but it's something we need to discuss, especially as we get close to budget time.
When's this next tournament?
The end of the month or is it July? Okay, 29th, yeah.
It's big,
Yeah.
it's big.
So, Russ, you got a recommendation?
No, I mean, nothing, like Zach said, it would be a lengthy discussion, so I'll just get with Zach. You know, one thing I would recommend is just keeping a spare pump on hand. But I think Zach also hit it probably with a larger basin.
Yeah, basically the screw hole, or the screws, the heads that rusted off, to where my only option would have been to cut the box off, and I would have had to mount a whole new box and wire in the pump, and I literally had no way to get 4 feet of water out of the basin. So, yeah, again, it's not a great situation, and I quoted out a couple years ago, the cost to put in, the cost of a new basin and pump, and the cost to do the concrete work that would be required to put a new, take the old one out, put a new one in, and it was in the ballpark of $40,000 to $50,000. How close those numbers still are, I don't know. Any other questions?
I think the solution would be get some porta potties in for this upcoming one.
Yeah. We're definitely, like I said, we're still, you know, because like I said, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Mhm.
And if you're gonna have to address this 2 or 3 more times this summer, I would almost lean towards just locking the bathrooms. But at the same time, that causes issues for the optics and what people see the tournament as, if that's the only thing. that's
Yeah,
going
I'm
on.
afraid of sewer backup, they're gonna already have a bad taste in the mouth about it.
Yeah.
Well, believe it or not, yesterday we heard no negative comments at all.
I think people saw that we were working to try to alleviate the issue.
Second, we had a lengthy conversation this morning. It's more than just a sewage backup. It's what you do to provide a service when they're there. Things happen. And you're very fortunate, you have a very nice park. You go to some of these parks, and that's just kind of expected to happen. Here it's not. So part of the whole program and how it's presented to people, and these guys work their tails off. That's why I'm here to support any, I've got numbers, I've got everything. We're bringing a lot of people coming to town for these. So, we as a citizen of Spencer County, who run business here, we feel that, if we can participate in some way, shape, or form, we'll certainly sit down and have some deep conversations if we can help. Because, running a tournament business, you do abuse parks. You do. Okay? I mean, there was over 1,600 people come through there in a 12-hour period. I ran the numbers today, so I know how many people were there. It's girls softball, 80% of them will win.
And not to be discriminatory, but that does have a bigger effect because you're flushing more toilet paper, potentially feminine products. And we see it when we restock bathrooms, the men's bathrooms, you hardly ever have to restock. And it's just, when you have that volume of product trying to go through a 2-inch solid or grinder pump, it's just too much. So.
So we're here to help and support any way we can.
So if we bring in a bunch of porta potties for something like this, can we still leave the sinks and that accessible to the public?
There's really no way to do that because they're still gonna have access to the toilets. If they have access to the sinks, they'll use the toilets.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
I think the new porta potty systems, you can get a porta potty and a sink.
Yeah.
Type deal, so.
Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit. I mean, honestly, you can even find, which it's pretty expensive, but you can even find conditioned ones, air conditioned ones that, sinks in the whole nine, but, we'll discuss that further as the time approaches. Yeah.
Okay. Needs assistance from us, let us know.
Okay. Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for coming.
Hello. I think you guys got my report. Any questions on that?
I have none. You guys?
It was a bit of a slow month, but things are picking up now. I think we have, we're in the middle of about 11 houses being built still, so some of those are probably coming up on expired permits with those, so I'm gonna get with those. Other than that, been kind of chasing down some sign violations. And, been on vacation, so.
Has the golf course made any action, done anything yet?
I'm not sure. Now, Kevin probably knows more about it. Because there was an APC meeting when I was gone, so.
And nobody was there? Nobody showed up from it?
Oh, they didn't?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And we have one that's coming Monday, or next Monday. I haven't heard anything either, so,
Anything else?
okay. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Trails and tails. Trails, tails. Oh, sorry, skipped one.
You just think you can see.
Do you guys have that number here for us? But other than that, let's do roll that out to, once you guys have something.
Everything going well with the equipment and, okay. Then the, direction of traffic, I guess we're on board for that for the big days. Okay,
We're gonna try to work nothing major's happen, so.
yeah. Okay, well, appreciate you guys' help, and need something, you gotta yell at one of us 5 up here, so. Appreciate you coming tonight.
Yes, sir.
Let's try the trails again.
Unless you got out film on, I couldn't get through, you gotta win.
I think I can actually be brief tonight, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Go.
Because actually, under unfinished business and new business, there's nothing, and there's really nothing to report other than just look at the activity you see on the trail every day. I think it's surprising me how much activity I see. But that's all I have. Again, we got the next level trail thing in process, but we're kind of in limbo right now. We're just checking some measurements and dimensions and stuff like that before we put the equipment to the ground. So that's all I have.
Since we're talking about trails, appreciate the mowing you've been doing. I know it's been I almost need a tractor and a hay baler behind you to see how much you're really cutting, so. But people are using the trails. I see people on it all the time. Appreciate everybody's help in keeping them looking great. I don't know if, last month I brought up concern about people leaving Holiday World, the employees down there, if we've been having any issues, with walkers or them not yielding to our,
As far as I can tell, I haven't really seen any issues. I mean, we've seen a decent amount of traffic, especially, some of the visa students, you see a few of them every day. It's hit and miss on some of the local bus kids, but we haven't had any issues that I know of. They've been pretty respectful, so they kind of keep themselves on good with that.
it's fine. Been seeing a lot of people from their community over there walking uptown and going to the stores and stuff like that, so. I think we did the right thing by putting the trail in, so.
The J1 folks really utilize it, and it's a good thing. There are some of them, I don't think realize it's there yet, they're still walking on the opposite side of the road, but yeah. See a lot of, beige shorts and blue shirts walking on the trail too.
It's a community draw. It really is. I mean, when, we had 90% of the teams, we had 122 teams come to Jasperford and Santa Claus over the weekend. And we heard very positive things about how things are, trails, and it's really something to do. So it's very well. I mean, it's LA and Valparaiso that just is in awe. You need to hear that kind of stuff.
I appreciate you bringing it up, so,
But yeah, they were very impressed.
thanks.
Again, that's all I have on the trails. Unless
Okay.
anyone else has questions or comments. Same thing for streets. Basically reported last month that we're working on the community crossing grant, for 2024. Notice of funding opportunity. I'm waiting on budget numbers right now so we can apply. The application will not be available until August, when the grant session opens, so. So I have.
Okay, and I guess we're still talking about redoing the road down there by the, 245.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that was part of it as well, yep.
Okay.
Absolutely. We will use that money to leverage, the grant monies as well.
Okay,
Under water, the council can refer to my monthly report. Just as a matter of talking tonight, the Trinity Place Pipe folks, to date, they have prepared for lining 22,852 feet, and have actually completed 5,649 feet. And tonight, the council will entertain a pay request from both them and the Midwestern Engineers. And if there are no questions on my report, I will jump right into the pay request.
I have none. Anybody else? Go ahead, Russ.
So, Performance Pipelining, Inc., the folks that are doing the pipeline, we have a pay request of $97,401.88. Again, the pay application was reviewed by myself and the engineers, and everything checks out. I have signed for the council on this particular pay app, and I can give that to Jane at the conclusion of tonight's meeting.
Not good with it?
If we could entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the pay voucher for Performance Pipeline Incorporated in the amount of $97,401.88.
Second.
I have a first and second by Mike and Jason in the amount of $97,401.88. There's no other comments from us or discussion. We can call for a vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Let it be known, it passes.
Thank you. Midwestern Engineers also has an accompanying invoice for the construction inspection duties in the amount of $8,031.06.
Make a motion to approve Midwestern Engineers invoice for $8,031.06.
Second.
I have a first by by Jason and a second by Brian. We have any other discussion on this bill of $8,031.06? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Let it be known, it passes.
Wastewater, same thing, the council and public can be heard in our monthly report for the month's activities of May in the water department. We're still in the throes of the PDA, I call it the water project. We did get temporarily shut down until the stormwater prevention solution plan was approved by item. There were a few discrepancies that they didn't like and had the engineers go back and rework the erosion control portion. However, there was some work done, and Copper Ridge LLC does have a pay application tonight for the town's consideration. Their pay app is in the amount of $14,946.46. And again, these pay applications are reviewed by myself and the engineers, and everything checks out.
All right, I make a motion to approve the invoice for Midwest in the amount of $14,946.46.
Correction, this is for Copper Ridge.
Copper Ridge.
This is a contractor doing the work.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Second.
I amended Copper Ridge.
Correct.
I have a first and second from Mike and Jason to pay Copper Ridge in the amount of $14,946.46. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Be known, it passes.
Thank you. Now, Midwest Government will twice as five, so they also have a pay request for $2,755 for the construction inspection.
Make a motion to approve the pay request for Midwestern Engineers for $2,755.
Do I have a second for that?
Second.
I have a first by Jason and a second by Mike to pay Midwest for their inspection at $2,755. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Be known, it passes.
I only have one other thing as a talking point tonight. I did hire a part-time person. This individual will act as a floor in the utilities department. He actually got his foot in the door by inquiring if we had any fire hydrants that needed scraped and painted. And we said, no, only about 300. He started last Thursday, I believe, so it was Thursday. And we started him out at $18 an hour. He does bring some skill sets to the table, so that is one reason for the increased starting salary, I'll say. I would like to see this maybe work into a full-time thing, so we're just keeping our fingers crossed that it might happen. So
Probably enough work for him.
I guarantee more than enough.
So is he working 40 hours a week? Yeah.
No, part-time. He'll work on my max.
That's what I mean. For part.
47 hours per week is the max.
Oh, okay.
Part-time, so, and of course, no benefits, so.
Young fella, older fella?
Well, let's just say, what do you think, he's mid-40s?
He's younger than I am, yes.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
Yeah. That's all I have.
His birthday, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Russ.
Yep.
Kevin?
The only thing I have for you is, proposed ordinance, for this 2024-03, and ordinance adding section 10.04.112 and
10.116.1114F, the municipal code of the town of Santa Claus. I had sent this out earlier, but then after talking to Russ, made a tweak to it because, this is concerning water meters that are damaged. Russ can probably fill you in on more, but he's had several damage over the past year due to freezing or maybe somebody was renovating their house, decided to just tore it off and threw it in the dumpster. And there's nothing in our ordinance now that allows us to recoup that, although obviously you could under a tort claim or something of that nature, but because it is the town's property. So this, simply allows the town to recoup the cost of that meter, as well as to put it on the water bill so that it's subject to late charges, disconnect charges if it's not paid. We did make a little tweak to this after the draft came out, because Russ brought up, what if it's not the home, what if it's in the easement, not on the homeowner's property, and say the county comes along, push hogging the ditches, and they hit it, you can't really hold the customer responsible for that, we have to go to the county to make them pay for the replacement if it's in an easement. If it's in the right of way, it's just like relocation to utility lines, that's our problem. And you can't really penalize a customer because our water line's sitting there in the right of way. Some of those, a lot of them, Sand Hill lines, they have county road right of way. So this basically is the first reading, you'll have to have a public hearing our next month, at your next meeting, and have passage of it. We went ahead and did the same thing on wastewater, even though we don't have any town-owned wastewater meters that service individual properties. Russ, under the sewer ordinance, has always required the property owners themselves, like Lincoln State Park, Holly World, to install those themselves, and then they're subject to the town's testing and monitoring, that they actually own their meters. But just in case we would ever go to a situation where the town owns a meter, I thought it's just good to have uniformity in the ordinance. So this will be up for first reading.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the first reading of ordinance 2024-03 and ordinance adding section 10.04.12 and 10.16.114F to the municipal code of the town of Santa Claus, Indiana.
Second.
And first and second by Mike and Jason. Any other discussion on this? If not,
My only discussion is, when did it become the town's responsibility for the property? Has it always been that way?
Yeah.
Yeah, the town owns the meters.
Because the town relies on them to keep it in their home, to keep it out of the elements, but for them to be responsible, other than destruction of it, but for them to be responsible for it.
Well, correction first, it was not, the meters were not put in the homes due to protect them. They were due to covenants and restrictions of the village. It was an aesthetic issue with the village folks at the time. They didn't want the blue meter lids out in the yard, so they had them place the meters inside the home.
So it's only done over here that way, it's not done
That's
over there? So over there, they're under the frost line, out in the yard?
Typically, yes,
Or on the garage wall.
yes.
So this rule would only apply to the village then?
No.
Oh, well, other than destruction. I mean,
Any
frost
water
line.
meter or radio transmitting equipment, automatic read, any accoutrement associated with our meter reading. So we may have a meter pit in the village, somebody's tilling their yard, or weed eating, or mowing, and accidentally scalp the top of that meter pit, that's damage. And this is not peculiar to the town of Santa Claus, this is an industry worldwide standard. And I bet if we delved and looked closely enough in older ordinances, we would find something to this order.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did bring up something to be thinking about, this can be changed before next meeting. Scott sent me an email today saying that the water board wanted to put the cost of the meter plus $100. That's to cover labor, I assume. What I put in there is that they have to pay the disconnect, reconnect charge, which is $40.
Right.
So you all will need to make a value judgment on whether it's just the meter plus sales tax, or whether it's, and the disconnect, reconnect, or whether you wanna go with the water board's recommendation of $100, which I assume that doesn't include the disconnect, reconnect charge. That's what the water board had recommended.
I think other than that, intentional destruction, I think the city should be responsible for it. Where I'm at. Unless they, like you said, they ran it over, but, I mean, it just leaves it open for it if it breaks. I mean, whose call is it if you walk into it and it's broken? Inside their home, whose gonna make the call to say, well, now it's your responsibility, not ours?
It's kind of in the contract.
So it's automatically gonna be theirs.
Correct. That's the perspective that the town has taken even before I was here.
Yeah.
Well, unless it's in a easement, that's where you get into the issue of, well, the homeowner should be responsible for it if they're mowing their easement. If you got the road that's in an easement, then you don't wanna give the homeowner a carte blanche. If they're out there weeding and hit the radio read on it and break it. Now, if it's on your house, it's on your private property, so anybody on that property has to be either the homeowner or a guest of the homeowner or a contractor that the homeowner's hired to be on that property. It's their private property, so unless the town damages it, it's somebody connected to the homeowner that's going to be damaging it. Unless it's vandalism, but then the homeowner can apply on their homeowner's insurance or whatever. Make a police report that it was damaged by somebody else.
What if it just goes out? How do
If
we
it just
know?
goes out, then that's
And
different.
they do that. They will go out.
Who makes the call that says, well, it was just.
We can, okay, so if it is what they call a pneumatic or a moving parts meter, then we can have it tested. It's simple enough. If it's just a mag meter, as we call it, we will look for a dead battery, bad register or something like that. But typically, those meters are warranted for a very long time through our vendor. In some instances, 20 years. Highly reliable, highly accurate. Similarly, if someone goes off and leaves their garden hose on all weekend, we do not give them credit for their water. I mean, they're responsible for the water as well.
So basically what you're saying, if the meter quits on its own, it's the town's responsibility, right?
Meters have a lifespan, like everything else, yes.
Okay. But if I damage it anyway, then it's my problem. Or if it's in the easement, for example, whoever's easement it is, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And not to oversimplify, but if the meter is damaged per se, it's gonna be pretty obvious. It's either gonna be a cracked faceplate, you'll see where a hammer has hit it in a remodeling project, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like I was working at my son's house, and mine's in my crawl space, it's never gonna get damaged unless it freezes or something. His is in his garage. I was working in his garage on his water heater, actually trying to get it to work, and dropped a crescent wrench, and it hit the meter. I was like, right after I drafted this, I was doing this, and I was like, crap. I could be on the hook for $200 here. Luckily, it didn't break it.
Mine's on my garage wall about knee high, so.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, and that's entirely up to the contractor on where they put them in your house, because the homeowner can shield it somehow. I mean, you can build a box around it or something if you want to protect it.
And what did the water board recommend?
Instead of having the disconnect, reconnect charge, they said to do $100 plus the cost of the meter.
In a year's time, how many damages do we have?
I'd say over the last 5 years, your average has been 6 a year.
How many a year, Russ?
6 a year average
Yeah,
in the last 5 years.
Got that about $1,000 a year?
Well, depends. Right now, the meters we're using are about $140 a piece, so.
But this would apply also to the larger meters too on
Right.
commercial structures.
Oh, yeah. So you're
Some of those are,
talking
yeah, some of those are more expensive, like at the $7,000 or.
So- But we should be okay expense-wise if we have the disconnect and the connect fee, right? Because if we keep abreast of that, change it as we need it, right? Instead of collecting that plus another 100, is what,
That's,
what,
I'm saying I put the cost of the meter plus the disconnect, reconnect charge, which would give
Correct.
you the cost of the meter plus $40. What the water board
meter on the side of your house, if you tear it off, Vectron's not gonna put it back on, they're gonna say you call an electrician.
Absolutely.
They're gonna come and fix it at your expense, and then they're gonna come and put the meter back in, so.
Yeah, and the town relies on these water meters as a source of income, obviously, we call them our little calculators. So I would not, and I'm gonna put this as nice as I can, I don't want the party playing carefree, careless around our equipment.
This ordinance doesn't have anything in it about that fee, does it? Where's it?
It just has the reconnect or disconnect.
Yeah, it says
fee.
plus sales tax and a disconnect reconnect charge. That's,
He said that
there's already a
Scott
separate.
had contacted him after he had typed it
Yeah,
up.
that's already in the ordinance, a disconnect reconnect charge is $40.
Okay.
But then Scott said, do $100 instead of doing the disconnect reconnect charge.
Which is gonna be easier to monitor or adjust in the future. You're gonna be more effective with the cost and reconnect, aren't you? Versus trying to remember the change this one too.
Well, they're all in one section right there, so you look back at your rates every time, anytime you're going to adjust them all most likely. And this is probably, I mean, Russ knows, like I said, Russ is the factual guy, is this one they're gonna attempt to put a disconnect, reconnect? You gotta send the valve, turn the valve off, and then send the valve, turn it back on, if somebody doesn't make it, they don't get shut off.
Sometimes you gotta find the valve, sometimes you gotta dig the valve out. We typically try to make records when we do find them, but a lot of times they'll seal them with dirt.
How they get full of dirt, I know that.
Huh?
I know they get full of dirt.
So, yeah, that would go out, and tell you if that's a reasonable charge, whether $100 is reasonable, whether $40 covers the town roughly in your costs. When something happens to one of these meters, what?
Yeah, and I was not aware of the Waterworks Board's comments, and I just saw
I just-
Scott's email today, so I never, time to play the movie through my head, but, yeah, but we would typically charge $50 per hour per person labor. That's our standard rate.
Do we actually put the meter back on, or just,
Sorry?
we actually supply it? Because on our new construction, you just supply the meter.
Correct. In this instance, we would be there to assist. Because there's certain ways gotta go in, obviously. Reconnecting wires for the radios, et cetera.
But isn't that the same procedure that we would use if the meter would quit?
Is that the same procedure we would use if it would quit?
Yeah, if the meter would fail,
We typically replace those meters when they fail.
okay, yeah. So if I would damage it, I'm gonna have to hire a plumber to put it on, or you guys?
No, not in this, because, if you're without water, you would not wanna try to get on the phone and call a plumber. We would deliver the meter to the home, and we would be there. We could either assist the homeowner or watch them do it, or we could just do it for them.
Okay,
Actually, a lot of people don't know how to change a light switch, so I can imagine people know how to change it. True. I met too many people that can't do.
all I know is when they put mine in, it took him longer to crawl back to it under the house versus to hook it up.
There you go.
Okay, so I'm back to this. There's no place in this where it mentions the $40.
It says,
It's
It
in-
says subject,
and a disconnect reconnect charge.
Right.
The disconnect reconnect charge is, I think this is section
right,
10.
112, it's like the 110 or something like that.
okay.
Is
so-
disconnect reconnect charge. That applies if it's a disconnection for non-payment, if it's a disconnection because they terminate, tenant moves out, they're gonna turn the water off until they get a new tenant.
Okay, but I'm coming back to, there's no dollar amount specified
There
in
is no dollar
here.
amount, and
Right.
it's specified otherwise in the ordinance.
Right.
Okay.
And the dollar amount is, it's a $50 charge unless it's after hours, and then it's 80.
Okay, so back to this, we can pass this as it is right now. We've already
Yes.
had a first and second. That
No,
takes
this is
This
first.
is the first reading.
We
This
have
is
a
first.
Still
public
the first
hearing.
reading.
Okay,
And you have to have a public hearing before your next meeting because
Right.
it concerns water
Okay.
rates and water and sewer rates. So, yeah, you can decide in between. I mean, you can give me some instruction. I can bring two versions of it, whatever you want.
My opinion is we adjust the fees through the ordinance, where it refers to here, the 10 point, what, section 10.16.111. Right? Because it's talking about the disconnect, reconnect charge that's set forth in that section.
No, 111. Do what now? Where you at?
I'm in paragraph 2,
Yeah,
the second last line of the first paragraph.
yeah,
It says disconnect, reconnect charge set forth in section.
yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Exactly. I mean, yeah, you can always alter it, make your disconnect, reconnect charge equivalent to the same charge as the meter replacement labor charge, basically. If you later revise the disconnect, reconnect, you can end it up, which I can imagine $50 actually probably doesn't cover our time going out there for a lot of these shut-offs, especially when you have to chase them down where people are parking their car over the top of the valve and everything else.
Okay, so before the second reading of this, that amount would be put into this?
Not
Or
if you're
would-
going to
it
go-
has to
Not
be-
if you're going to go with the disconnect, reconnect charge.
Is this your original draft?
Is that $40 charge in one of our ordinances?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so another
Well,
ordinance,
It's got 50 and 80, I
It's
think,
50,
right?
yeah.
Which would also make sense to have the differential in there versus a $100 flat charge. Because what if somebody calls at 1 o'clock in the morning and my plumber's over here, we need the meter. We call town personnel to get them a meter at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. We have an after-hours disconnect charge also. There's a
Okay.
differential for whether it's during or after hours,
My opinion, we govern the fees through the ordinance,
the disconnect, reconnect charge.
correct? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Versus having a flat rate of $100, like Scott said.
So how is it written, disconnect plus meter plus labor?
No, just disconnect plus the cost of the meter. I mean, we're still probably keeping the cost, but you guys,
Yeah.
if it takes more than a couple hours, but it beats you. I mean, right now you're eating all of their cost anyway.
So do we want to change that section of that ordinance?
It's up to you.
Be something to think about.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at first blush, I'd say no, just leave it as is, but, with the meter plus disconnect. So, yeah,
Can you put something general in there like that, the prevailing rate? Or, you know, so you don't have to adjust it as much, or, I don't know, it's something to consider.
You could, but then you're gonna have to keep records or have records of
Okay,
how much time one of each employee, I mean, I don't know if they do that on their time cards anyway. But we'd have to justify it, if somebody questions it, why are you charging me $83.22?
okay. I'm just trying to,
Then you get into question, what is the actual cost of the hour of work that they spend, because you got benefits and all that good stuff, I mean, that's.
You could just dissect it all day long.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just trying to keep it simple.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said we just do a flat rate on this and be done. Like you said, it happens 6 times a year.
So keep the disconnect, reconnect charge instead of the $100 flat fee? Okay. Sorry to complicate it. I didn't do it though, Scott, I didn't do it.
So we're going to keep it, we're going to read the motion as,
Well, you already had a motion. That's
I'm-
what-
yeah.
Yes, to keep it as is.
keep it as is, okay.
Like I said, I did make a tweak, I still need to tweak the language a little bit more regarding if the meter is in an easement, because you don't wanna penalize the customer. If it's the county highway, if somebody has a car accident and hits our meter out in the easement or something, the homeowner should be penalized for that. So I'll add some qualifying language in there to make it only if it's the homeowner or on the homeowner's property that they have to pay for the replacement.
Okay. Then next month, we can vote on the final.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll get it out to you.
But you need a motion tonight to proceed on.
I think you already had it.
yeah, we had a motion and
Okay.
second for that, and then we were having
The
discussion, so
discussion,
we just
okay.
need to take a vote.
Okay. Okay, we had a motion by Mike and Jason for this ordinance. as written. All those in favor, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay.
No.
Let it be known it passes 3-1.
That's all I have for
Um,
I have.
Go ahead,
Question.
Mike.
Has there been any action on the court case the judge found in our favor, correct, for the contract?
We found partially in our favor and said that there's still issues of fact concerning the issue of the liquidated damages for leaving mid-year. Because we submitted that we had paid overtime, but as far as whether that was a penalty versus to fairly compensate the town, he found that he could not rule in our favor on that issue because we would have had to pay Gosnell anyway.
Okay, so,
So we have to go to trial on that issue. Because we paid something like 4,000, according to Kelly's numbers, as I was actually looking at the other day. She had quantified how much overtime we paid in the 2 months after he left, because he left maybe during the summer. And he brought up that we would have paid him like $5,500 anyway if he had worked his normal hours during those 2 months. So I'm not sure exactly how she came up with their numbers. That was one thing I need to ask Jane if she can find anything in the annals of her files, because I don't have the underlying calculations that she used.
so he responded to, after the judge issued the ruling, his
No,
attorney.
Before you issued the ruling, he brought up the fact that we would have paid him wages anyway. So the question is, did we have the same coverage? I'm not sure what the coverage was during that time period, but we paid like $4,700 or something like that in overtime during that period.
And
The
I-
question is, did that overtime, was that to pay guys, is that just the time and a half portion of the overtime? In other words, did our guys work the shift and that's just the time and a half portion of it? So it,
If
I
you
don't
give
know.
me the dates, I can pull the
Yes.
payroll records and verify.
Yeah, that's why I've got to figure out exactly how she came up with her quantification of that. Because I may be able to go back to him and say, well, he's wrong because that was just the overtime.
Right.
That wasn't the time he would have spent.
All right, so you're researching this?
I'm working on it,
All right.
yeah, and he still hasn't had a month anyway, so. But, yeah, there's still issues of fact, which would, plus the attorney's fee issue, but those attorney's fees too.
Okay.
No movement on the salary ordinance amendment?
I got it next.
She got, oh, she did that one.
Back to you on previous with Grunhofer.
Yes.
Have we heard anything on that?
We responded to Discovery, I think it's set for August 10th now. They asked for a continuance, but we responded to Discovery. She asked for all of our monitoring reports and everything, which Russ got those to me and Ashley got those to me, of all of our monitoring reports out of their station.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have nothing else for you.
Okay, the first thing I have is, Russ had brought to the table last meeting about adding a position, to the salary ordinance. So I have before you the first reading of ordinance 2024-04, an amended ordinance of the Town Council of the Town of Santa Claus, Indiana, wages and salaries for 2024. And this would be amending our previous salary ordinance that was set, ordinance 2023-14. The only thing that I added is if you look about halfway down, under supervisor 1 was already in place on the previous ordinance, and so I added supervisor 2 hourly up to $35 an hour as discussed at the last meeting.
Is that what you asked for?
So did we change the title from working supervisor to supervisor 1?
It was supervisor 1 on the previous one.
That's not how it was presented, but that's what it is.
Do you want to
Do
read
you
something
wanna
else?
change?
Well, no, I mean, it should have been discerned that that was a working supervisor's position. That's how it was originally worded,
Is that number 1?
yes.
They can add that for second reading.
I mean, I can change whatever if
Well,
you
I mean,
want
I would
title
leave that up to
differently.
Kevin's advice as well. I mean, is there a, I don't know, Fair Labor Standard Act in the differentiation of working supervisor versus supervisor? Then leave it be, it's fine.
Just some differentiate which one's under which, I mean, as long as the town's aware of who was hired in as supervisor number one and number two. One of them can only get paid $30 an hour, so if you come in and, if Jim Smith is designated as supervisor number one and you want to give him a raise of $32, then this has to be changed.
Correct.
So Jane just needs to know which one's which,
Yes.
as far as your supervisors are concerned.
Yeah, so if it's designated one and two, that's good enough. And if there's no discernible difference, we'll leave it as it is.
Now, two's higher pay than one.
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay,
That's correct.
I would have thought it would have been the opposite way, but,
Yeah,
Well, because the one was already on that ordinance, and so we added
okay.
the two, yes, it does. That's why I don't know if you wanna change the titles, we can change titles before the
I don't
second
think there's any
reading.
need to.
Okay,
Okay.
Be good. Make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-04, with the
First reading.
first reading of the salary ordinance.
second.
I have a first and second from Jason and Brian. Any other discussion among us? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Let it be known it passes.
Any interest in suspending or making a second reading tonight?
Can we do that with a 4?
Let's, no, it's gotta be, let me look at that. It's gotta
While
be
he's
unanimous.
looking at that, I can move on to.
I think it's gotta be, everybody's gotta be present, it's all gotta be unanimous, but let me look at that real quick.
That's right.
I'm pretty sure it is.
That's right.
We can,
It used to be a supermajority had to be present and it all. I
Like a
know.
special meeting.
we could do that, or we could ask, can we backdate that? I mean, his pay? Not really, can you?
When's Trish gonna be back?
She's gone all week.
Be gone next week.
We can set something up for the 24th, if you're gonna be gone next week.
Possibly, yeah. I think absentee ballot.
But we gotta have a public hearing, don't we, Kevin?
For what? Salary?
No, for the other one.
For the other one,
ordinance.
yes.
For this salary, we don't? Okay.
No. I can't find it.
Can we have a special meeting and only have 4 or 10 and pass it?
Oh, yeah, second reading, yeah. It just can't be on the same day as the,
So technically, we could have a meeting again this week.
yes. As long as you have 48 hours notice.
So we could do something Thursday.
Thursday or Friday.
You know, we could do it early in the morning if that's what everybody wants to do. And, you know, take about 5 minutes. What time do you go to work?
I can go whenever. I can be here in the morning if we need it.
I can be here in the morning.
You wanna do it 7:30, Thursday morning?
Thursday.
Mike, can you make it? Or is you got a tea time?
No, I'm not playing Thursday.
Okay. Yeah.
7:30 in the morning?
pickleball court time or something. That work for you, Russ?
Yes, thank you all for accommodating, absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
So what, Thursday at 10, what?
at 7:30,
Oh, 7.
7:30.
Okay,
that work?
that's fine.
But we still have to know whether you have to.
No, as long as you have 2 meetings, you're fine.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Oh, yes, I know what you're talking
We
about.
couldn't suspend the rules.
Just,
in the
yes,
meeting.
to suspend,
Suspend the rules, we would need to know if we gotta have 5 here, but if we schedule it as another special meeting,
Then you, doesn't matter, 3 of you can be present.
yeah,
okay.
all right.
Works for me.
Thank you all.
Okay, so we need to have a reading of this tonight?
You just
We just did, okay.
Hey, Russ, I like those raspberry filled donuts from Casey's.
I could affect the outcome, you know.
I can see by looking at all that, I guarantee you it will.
Probably bring some cheap ass coffee.
Yeah. Thank good.
Okay, the next thing I have is, you should have a list of,
Cold water.
proposed repairs to the town hall and the police department. The reason that this came up is a couple, it has been mentioned to me by one of the council members that the parking lot needed to be striped. James has also requested that the doors to his garage be repainted. They are peeling and they do look kind of bad. Some of the other things on here is replacing the lights in town hall and the police department to LED lights. As they go out, we can kind of rewire those and those will kind of pay for themselves, you know, over time. James also has a window, it's at the back of this building, if you wanna look at it, facing the rear parking lot, that, it's not really cracked, but it is all fogged up because the, you know, the gas or whatever that keeps it,
The seal was
the
given.
seal is, done, so that's part of it, to replacing that single window back there. Installing some security cameras in the foyer and a panic button in my office, just cause for safety issues. I mean, we haven't really had any concerns, so to speak, but we have had, a few instances where people from Lake Rudolph have come into town hall on drugs, and the police have intervened, and we haven't had any threats or anything, but I just think that going forward, it might be a wise idea to put some security cameras up and stuff, just in case we have issues. It's a little bit more secure.
You know, deal with money and stuff too.
Exactly. And security lights in the rear of the building, there's a camera back there, but it's not as dark. The only light we have is the one overhead, on, above the door. You know, put the key in, but the parking lot is dark for those of us who are working late at night. Downspouts in a couple of areas on the building. If you go to the rear of the building, you can see where the water is coming off of the roof and going straight onto the building, and it's starting to etch the stone. I think that we need to look at putting some downspouts to try to keep it from running directly onto the stonework of the building. Pressure washing the building too. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's really dingy. It's, the whole back area is like got black moldy stuff all over it. The storage closet in here, which we talked about the last meeting. And then, James had requested a key fob system put in on the police department side for sure. He's not here to talk to you about that, so I'm not sure his concerns with why he needs that, but he is requesting maybe a key fob system be put on the doors going into the police department. These are estimates on what we think they will cost. Some of them are kind of low because, one of our current employees who works for, the community center, Randy, has expressed some interest in maybe picking up some additional, maintenance type position, you know, maintenance type work. So some of these could include him doing it, which we would just be paying for supplies and then labor through the payroll system. And like I said, these are all estimates. So I guess what I'm asking is permission to use some of the CCB money that we have to do some of these improvements and repairs that the town hall's needing. We currently have $362,766.56 in that fund. We've appropriated $75,000 for this year. I'm looking at, it's probably not gonna exceed $25,000 total. I don't know, I'm asking to use the money, I guess, and then I don't know if you want me to get quotes on these jobs individually and bring them to you each meeting before it's done, or if you wanna give me permission to utilize that money, and if it's below the 5,000, just go ahead and have it done. I'm not sure how you wanna proceed on any of these tasks on this list, but
What are the limits right now from the state? Would you have to get quotes from? So,
$50,000 you have to bid out.
okay.
Anything above $50,000 you have to bid.
Okay, so,
I just don't know what it's a preference of the council,
I
like
would
if
spend
you,
more time having meetings and getting everybody together than what it would take to decide to say for
I think you gotta use your judgment and,
yeah,
Move
and
on.
if it's over any of them comes out over 5,000, obviously I'd have to come
right.
to you because it would be over what I could spend. But some of these small things, I mean, we're just buying supplies for.
They're really maintenance
As long
things.
as I have permission to use the money out of that fund, I mean,
I think the main thing is you wanna have certain things done first before you proceed on with something else. Like having the building power wash, I would think you would do that before you put the new windows and stuff like that. I don't know.
I'll make a motion to authorize the clerk treasurer to move forward on this list and not to exceed $25,000, and the money will come from the appropriated funds from CCB.
I'll second.
Okay. I have a first and second from Mike and Brian, and a third from Jason. All those in favor of proceeding on with this list that clerk has presented to us, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Let it be known, it passes 4-0.
Have we looked into also painting Santa?
I'm not.
His condition's pretty bad. I mean, I don't know who I spoke to during our last
I didn't
meeting.
have this on.
Painting what?
Santa out front.
You shouldn't have to paint Santa.
It is failing, some of the fiberglass is failing, and I think Holiday World actually owns that, don't
No,
they?
the chamber, we bought that, it was bought from a company that's up in Wisconsin, and that stuff should never, it's some type of impregnated
It's got
fiberglass.
chips in it, it's got a few cracks. It's
Has it
faded.
been cleaned?
Maybe get a power
You
wash,
can tell
we
the
start there.
paint's starting to chalk a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's not paint on that. It's supposed to be impregnated in the plastic.
Well, whatever it is, it's chalky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, it's fading.
Yeah.
I'll look at it.
How old it is, it's failing, yeah.
Yeah.
We have had an issue with the town signs.
Huh?
Yeah, but they were different materials though, weren't they?
Those are fiberglass too, that's why I call it big, he does a lot of body work.
I don't remember the Santas were, or the trees, there were two different.
Paper mache kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the trees were originally paper mache.
Yeah.
They were.
They were Phil
They-
Cook special.
The Chamber of Commerce paid for that. It was $10,000 for that statue when we put it in, so, but,
Well, no, Brian's absolutely correct, it is starting to fade in some areas,
okay. But nobody's ever tried to clean it?
not that I'm aware of.
Can we have,
When we have the building power wash, can we power
have
wash
them
that?
look and see what will happen to it if it's power washed? Because that's the same company that built all the statues, the hollow dogs and everything in Holiday World, and none of those are faded that I know
Yeah,
of.
and like I said, it's not just fading paint, but it's also cracking in the material.
It's cracking?
You see fiberglass.
Yeah.
there
Okay.
on the side, so, yeah.
All right, I'll take a look at it too and have them,
Yeah, when I have to start about it, yep. And have a look.
it shouldn't be doing that as I think they have a guarantee on it.
The other thing I have is we need to, be looking at setting a budget hearings for the month of July. So I don't know if anyone's gonna be out of town on vacation any certain weeks, or if we wanna look at setting that.
No, I think normally we've done it about 2 weeks after the regular meeting in July.
Yeah,
So if the regular meeting's what, the
Regular
9th,
meeting will be on the 8th.
so
the 8th, so we go to the 22nd?
15th or, yeah,
Hmm?
you could have it 22nd, because 15th we have a APC meeting.
Yeah,
July 22nd, same time, 5:30.
5:30 and
Yeah.
22nd, yeah.
Well, so we want to
All
move
right,
it up at
Jason?
5?
Hmm?
Move it up to 5, get some of the easy ones?
I'm, anytime's fine with me.
It's fine.
Let's do it 5, yeah.
5 o'clock.
And then Jane, I guess you'll send out the schedule, which departments will be scheduled at this time.
Mhm. Yep. I don't have anything else.
All right,
You can
vouchers.
If someone wants to suspend the rules, as long as the suspension of the rules is unanimous, a 2/3 vote, so as long as all 4 of you vote for the salary ordinance change, it is acceptable.
I make a motion to suspend the rules for the salary ordinance and do the second reading tonight.
I have a second.
I'll second.
I have a first and second to suspend the rules on the salary ordinance. Okay, looking for it. Do they have a number, ordinance number?
24-04.
2404.
So if we could have a motion, to call for the vote on this, all those in favor, say aye.
We have to have a vote on suspending the rules
Rules.
first,
Let it vote as long
Yeah,
as-
that's what it was.
Okay.
There was a motion and a second to suspend.
and then have another
Jason made a
motion to.
Brian Warren made the second, so we
Right.
need a vote on suspending.
So we've had a first and second on the suspend the rules, we need to take a vote on that.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying. You need to take a
So-
vote on the suspension of the rules.
Rules.
Right, yes, exactly.
And this has to be unanimous in order
Okay.
to move forward.
All those in favor and suspend the rules?
Aye.
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 All right,
Be
it's
known.
unanimous.
Passes 4-0.
Now we take a vote, or
Okay.
take the motion on,
I just screwed myself out of donut, didn't
We can still.
No, maybe
get
2 of
donuts. I'll
them.
get
I? All right,
donuts.
anyway. Make a motion to approve the second reading for ordinance 2024-04 for the salary ordinance of the town of Santa Claus.
Second.
Have a first and second from Jason and Brian on that. All those in favor, say aye.
aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Let be known, passes 4-0. And now we need to have a special meeting for donuts.
I apologize for not remembering that, because I remember this came up before when there were 3 people present.
Now we don't have
It has
to
be
have the
2/3.
special meeting on Thursday, right?
Correct, we can cancel that meeting.
So if 3 people are present.
So no, now the meeting on Thursday's canceled. Okay,
I've got vouchers, general vouchers in the amount of $62,040.
Make a motion to approve the general voucher in the amount of $62,040.
second,
Have a first and second from Jason and Mike on the voucher. All those in favor, say aye.
aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Let be known, it passes 4-0.
Okay, I have payroll vouchers in the amount of $91,492.13.
I make a motion to approve the payroll vouchers in the amount of $91,492.13.
Second?
Have first and second from Mike and Jason on the payroll vouchers. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
And I have wastewater vouchers in the amount of $411,039.26.
Make a motion to approve the wastewater voucher in the amount of $411,039.26.
Second.
Have first and second from Jason Jason and Brian. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Let it be known it passes. So if we can have the documents to sign. We're gonna sign the documents, and then we're gonna adjourn.
Russ, do you wanna come and sign off on these?
I've already signed.
Oh, you've got to.
Can I come?
I didn't code mine.
You can tell me whether you want.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, well, I think about 5 years, the pumpkins out.
Well, and then the way you get right to the. Oh, some pretty good $30 Pretty good. I'm the same way.
And the water project, this one I'm still. So far,
This is easy.
Midwestern.
This will come from water capital.
A typical, that's pretty typical.
It's a.
Yes, yes, the engineering is always coming from capital.
This last one?
Yes, all of the ones are coming out of capital. And then what about this?
Oh, yes.
Water capital.
It wasn't July.
If you have a motion to adjourn,
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
and first and second to adjourn, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Passes 4-0.
Way to go.
Yeah, wow.
Thanks, you guys.
I may have some players. And you're welcome to have it. Yeah, I'll see.
Okay,
You do.
I don't know.
Thanks, Kevin.
I apologize for not knowing that, like I said, I should have known it, because I remember one time when there were only 3 of us on here, we couldn't do it because it takes, say, 2/3 of all the council